Before we get into this episode, if you've been listening to Wind the Q and getting something out of it, we appreciate it. And if you want to support the show, we've got a monthly support option set up through the link in the description. If not, just listening and sharing goes a long way. All right, let's get to it. You wanted the promotion. You studied for it. You worked for it. You finally got it. And then one day you realize something. Nobody told you what it actually feels like when it's your responsibility now. No one told you what it's like to make the call when there's no one left to ask. And the truth is, that's where the job really starts. So the question becomes, how do you know if you're ready?
Boots hit the floor. Jump in our gear. Mask, gloves, door, screaming down the street.
Welcome to Wind the Q, the Stories Behind the Sirens. I'm Lieutenant Dodson, Engine Officer here in Northwest Georgia. This podcast is about real conversations in the fire service. It's about the jobs, about the culture, and what it actually takes to lead when it matters most. So this is episode 15. This will be our season 1 finale, and that's a big milestone for us. There's no better way to close this out than talking about leadership. Not the idea of it, not the title, but the weight that comes with it. So joining me today is Lieutenant Sambor. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, how long you've been in the fire service, and what your current role is.
Good morning. My name's Lieutenant Adam Sambor. I've been in the service for roughly about 12 years now. I'm currently a lieutenant with our department that we both work at.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So do you remember the moment you realized the job was different? So you get promoted to your current role as lieutenant, and then all of a sudden, one call or one shift, whatever the case is, you realize, wow, this is different.
You know, I can't think of a particular moment that I had that realization, but I will say on calls especially, I mean, you know, you take on that responsibility of your crew. These guys are relying on you to make these decisions. And sometimes, I mean, you honestly, on a personal level, you just don't really know what to do in some situations.
Yep.
I mean, you have to take input from your guys and everything, but you still have to maintain a level of visible confidence that, you know, gives your guys that trust so they don't feel scared or they don't feel intimidated by a situation. So even if you still don't know what to do, you still have to, I don't want to say pretend like you know what to do, because that's never the case, but you have to maintain a level of calmness during those situations.
Absolutely. Sometimes perceived confidence is just as good as confidence itself.
That's a big thing in the military, too.
Yep.
It's just a manufactured motivation is what we always called it.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. So you didn't really call out a single moment where that happened, but through this first, how long have you been a lieutenant now?
Since probably about 4 months.
Okay. Has there been points where you have felt totally ready versus points where you thought, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely have. I think, you know, it's funny, you know, we do so much training, especially for structural firefighting, that I've told the guys before, I honestly feel more comfortable pulling up to a, you know, single story residential structure fire than I would going on like a gas leak.
Yeah.
So, because it's just the ins and outs of it. You have a little more time to overthink things. On a structure fire, you typically go just pure instinct.
Yep,
and we train so much on it that you automatically know essentially what you're going to do for almost every fire. You know, obviously there's some differences and some details that arise from that, but that you can make some changes with operations. But it's just some of the smaller things, the smaller calls that are more frequent and less dangerous that actually intimidate you a little bit more.
Yeah, I can see that. And we have this, like you said, every just structure fire response, for example. All of them are different, but we still have this basic game plan of how it's going to go down.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to adapt, of course, but that initial game plan is usually where we start. But I don't know, leadership it don't just start when you get promoted. It starts the moment the responsibility becomes real to you. And we've talked about this before, and we may touch on it again in just a little bit. You don't have to be an officer or have rank to be a leader. You can do that as a rookie firefighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all depends on your drive and your confidence level. Why do you think so many people want to promote, but they aren't ready when it happens? We have months.
Mm-hmm.
Typically a month at the least, knowing, okay, promotions is fixing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got that time to prep. But if you think you're going to promote down the road, then you may have 2 years to prep, if that's your game plan long term. So why do you think that is?
I think that for the most part, I do feel like a lot of people promote for the right reasons. So the reason I wanted to promote, and this is what I told them in our interviews, is, I just want to be in a position that has more influence in order to help our guys more.
Yeah.
That was my number one priority. And I said that 1,000,000 times during the interview process. I want to get to a level in which I can just have this extra influence to go, talk to admin. If I need to get something done for one of my firemen, I can go over here and put together training if I see there's an opportunity. And it's a little easier once you get some rank, and you have more influence. That's the reason I wanted to promote. And honestly, I do feel like most people have that drive in them to get promoted. They want to be, running things so they can make sure the best outcomes are happening with their guys, the best outcomes are happening with their fellow officers, things of that nature. As far as getting there and not being ready, I think that sometimes the drive and the passion and the motivation to be in that position tends to go a little bit further than their actual readiness.
Yeah.
Which, I think we all at some level have that. I know I did. I promoted with this super motivated personality where I just, I wanted to come in like just a bull in a china shop and just start helping as much as I could, and getting these guys to be like the perfect firemen as much as I could, just make them super, aggressive and motivated. However, it's some little things that, you start to realize once you get promoted where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing on this scene. And, but in that, you still have to maintain that level of humility where I don't mind going downstairs and asking Chief, hey, what can I do different? What would have been the right answer in this situation? What can I be doing that's going to help my development as well? And I think that, unfortunately, I think some people, in the service, we tend to hire these alpha personalities where, to admit weakness or to admit that you don't know something is sometimes embarrassing and sometimes a blow to their pride.
That's right.
But I think that, you just have to you have to suck it up and just, you have to ask questions. I've asked some of my firemen questions before. And, I'm never scared to tell them that I just don't, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've said it before. We've got a new rookie now. And, of course, he's, super nervous, for everything. Even like a lift assist, he's super nervous for, even if he doesn't want to show it. But he asked me about that, how do you calm down the nerves and all this stuff? And I was like, because his big thing was just not knowing what to do on scene.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, man, just know that there's 3 or 4 of us on this rig right now. Between the 4 of us, we will figure out what to do.
Yes, that's right.
If I don't know right off the rip, we'll work together and we'll figure it out.
Yep.
Worst case scenario, I'm one phone call away from my battalion chief.
That's right.
So.
You had mentioned going downstairs and talking to Chief about expectations or how to handle a situation.
Absolutely.
It's crazy because we have 3 shifts, A shift, B shift, C shift, 5 stations, and how different things are from one shift to the next.
Yeah.
And officers' expectations, how much they're changed. Now, our basis is the same, but like across the 3 battalion chiefs, their expectations are all a little different with personal influence and whatever the case may be. So, it's perfectly acceptable to say, I don't know, but hang on, I get an answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
You just can't, you got to swallow your pride. I mean, that's the first thing you need to admit to yourself is, I don't know everything.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people around me that are wanting me to succeed and wanting me to, fulfill the job duties.
Yep.
I mean, so they're going to answer your questions.
That's right.
If anything, you're going to make them feel better because you're coming to them asking for their advice.
Yeah, that's true.
It's win-win.
Yep. Everybody wants the position until they feel the weight that comes with it. We see this because we have firefighters, and then we have relief drivers or FAOs, and then we have sergeants. And we've talked before about how those positions step up due to staffing or whatever. A sergeant their primary job is driving the truck and pumping the truck and operating. And then all of a sudden, the officer's off that day and they have to step up and ride the seat, which is totally different. That's where that weight usually sets in. The driving and the pumping, they're prepared for. But it's that making all the decisions, be in charge of, especially here at this station, in charge of an engine company and a truck company.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big change from your normal position of just driving. What changed the most for you going from firefighter to sergeant and sergeant to officer? Because you did it in a pretty quick time frame.
From the moment I got hired here, I tried to really just work as hard as I could and be an asset. I mean, that was my biggest. Even as a fireman, I tried to go in there and I tried to do as much possible as I could, clean the station without being asked, try to do as much training as I could, always participate in training when other guys wanted to put it on. When I got to sergeant, which was one of the most nerve-wracking assessments of my life for some reason. I'm not really, I got so stressed out about that assessment, but when I got promoted to sergeant, it was almost like I just wanted to. It's the same mentality I had as wanting to get promoted to lieutenant, where I've just had this drive to make the guys better. And fortunately for me, I was put on the truck company as a sergeant, so I was able to do a ton of just truck company operation trainings. Really try to make sure these guys were just, super fluent in anything truck operational. But I was just very motivated at that point. But then, I got a taste of having that influence, and I know that kind of sounds bad, but I got a taste of that influence, and I was like, man, I could do even more for these guys, if I got promoted to officer.
Yep.
And as soon as I got promoted to officer, I mean, that's one of the first things I did with my first crew that I got put on is I tried to sit down with everybody, have one-on-ones with them, get their expectations of me, my expectations of them, and just immediately address any career path concerns.
Yep.
And that was one of the things that I was super passionate about when I got there is just, essentially just catching everybody up to where they needed to be and really just laying out a plan and a path for them actually to succeed as much as they want to succeed.
That's right.
Of course, you have guys that just, they may want to be a fireman for 10, 15 years, and that's fine. I mean, we can find external classes that, can help you dial in your performance as a firefighter. And then some guys want to come in and be battalion chiefs one day. And that's the ones that we focus on, would just go into these officer style classes and jib stick and all that stuff to just get them on the right path.
Yeah. I do feel bad that you got such a terrible officer your first year as a sergeant.
Yeah, he's terrible. All he wanted to do was his podcast all the time. I'm just joking. No. I think that you, I really do think that, and that goes into another component is molding to your personnel and really helping them, changing your output in order to help them develop, which I think you did very well, because I think that when we got put together, I think you saw that, I was motivated and I want to do a bunch of stuff, and you allowed me to do that. You taught me how to do training. You taught me how to do all these things. And I think that was great. I think that that's something that an officer has to do, in a leadership position has to do.
You have to, because we swap people around.
Oh yeah.
Yearly at a minimum, and then if there's promotions and things, we do it more than that. And it can be really, really hard but you have to be able to adapt to your crew.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's different. We've talked about it before. We live together a third of our life here, and sometimes you don't like everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get on each other's nerves, or people learn different, or people have different motivations, or whatever. And sometimes it's hard to be over two crews or two companies, and you can't make everybody happy, but try to mesh yourself with how everybody else is.
Yep.
It's hard, but throw a quick story in. So when Sambor started, I was still a sergeant at the time, and me and another firefighter was on the tower, and we actually caught a chemical fire. And Sambor had all this prior experience and stuff. And we get out there, and he was still in his orientation period. So they wouldn't let him do anything but but observe. And he was the best water hander outer I've ever seen in my whole life.
I was a heck of a LDH loader, too. I loaded a lot of LDH that day.
Oh, man. We fought fire. We turned into a hazmat scene. He just handed out water.
That was my introduction to our department.
Yeah. That was probably not heat like inside fire, but just in general outside. It was probably over 100 that day.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And middle of the day, it was terrible.
God, I felt so bad for it when they had to start putting them level A suits on. I was like, oh my gosh,
it was awful. Terrible. All righty. So what does it feel like to make decisions in an officer's role, knowing everybody there is watching you? They're depending on you to not just make a decision, but to make the right decision that's going to get them home. It's going to make the scene go the way that it needs to go. I mean, that is a lot of pressure. So what does it feel like in your position making those decisions?
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's definitely pressure inducing. I mean, you certainly have a lot of pressure on you. For the obvious reasons, for life safety reasons, to make sure everybody is fine, injury free, everything. However, there's also social pressures.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
You've got a lot of your peers, a lot of your superior officers looking at you to make the right decision. And I think that a big component of that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that humility portion of it. Yeah. You know, if I go in there and I got my chest, inflated up and I'm like, oh, I know everything, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that, I feel like people can just see through that for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's why just the humility portion of it is, if I'm on scene and there's something questionable or something that arises that I'm like, I have no idea what to do here, then I will quickly ask my chief or another more seasoned officer, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And, I've had that the opposite way too. I've had other guys ask me what to do.
Yeah.
And just, not calling them out or not, making fun of them for not knowing what to do and stuff. It's more of like a one-on-one. Hey, you need to blah, 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 blah. You need to do this, check for this.
Yeah.
And just not really embarrassing them, because, we're not in rookie school anymore. We're talking about extremely important decisions.
Yes. It's not just making one little bad decision and getting smoked for it. It's big stuff.
Absolutely. And we're not just there to just browbeat and, bully them and stuff like that. Yeah. There's a time and place for that. Yes. Don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But not in the situation, in the heat of the moment where there's potential life risks.
Yes, that's exactly right. So we talked about the calls and we talked about the decisions that have to be made. And there's been times that we've run a call and whatever happened and whatever decision was made. And then we get back to the station and I think, man, I'm glad that went good, because there was the potential for it not. And based on the decision I made, I'm glad that really worked out.
Yeah.
Because it could not have. So with that in mind, what sticks with you longer? Is it the call? Because we're not just talking about structure fires.
Yeah.
Any call in general. Would it be the call or would it be the decision that you made? I think it's fluid. It changes, but
I think at this point, it's more of the decision that I made.
Yeah.
Because obviously some things stick with me for, years and years as far as like the details of a call. However, now on the short-term part of it, coming back to the station, it's definitely the decision-making, because as a newly promoted officer, I sit there and think, I'm like, my God, I map out every potential outcome in my head, especially when I get back, I'm sitting on the computer doing the report by myself, and I'm like, oh my God, what if I would have, what, did I not get all the information I needed? Did I not see something that I needed to see? I definitely question, but on the flip side of that, I think that's a good thing for an officer to do.
Yeah.
Because I think it makes you explore every potential outcome and opportunity that you had on that call. So next time you go on that call, you're looking for those things.
That's true.
They stick with you.
Good answer. So the hardest part of this job is not always the call. It's like Sambor said, it's the making the decisions, standing by your decisions. And then when you get to your quiet place, whether it's doing the report and you're going back over details, or you get home, going over the decisions that you made and being okay with those.
Yeah.
And we've all run the calls where we get home and think, well, maybe there was a bad outcome on that call.
Yeah.
And you think, man, maybe I could have done something else, like you said, or whatever. But sticking by the decisions you made in that moment. Sometimes it's not always easy, but like that's the hardest part of the call.
Yep.
All right, so let's shift just a little bit. So you get promoted, and like I said, you got promoted to sergeant and then to lieutenant fairly quickly, but you did have prior experience, so it wasn't new to you either. But how do you lead people who used to be your peers?
Yeah.
That's typically when we are promoted, we change shifts, or at a minimum change crews.
Yeah.
How did you do that transition? Because you kept a couple of guys.
Yeah, I got promoted with the same crew. My first assignment.
Yeah.
Same shift, same crew. They moved the previous officer just to another station, and they just essentially set me there and gave me a new sergeant.
Yeah.
That it is tough. I will say that. I'll be completely honest. It is tough to do that because you know me pretty well, and as a sergeant, you can get away with a lot more as far as just messing around the station and just joking around and stuff, wrestling with whatever it is.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, and going from that sergeant position to an officer position, especially with the same group.
Can you be both friend and leader? Because we go through this thing, and I used to work for Sears a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago. And there was always this thing where if you were in a management or supervisor position, you couldn't hang out with the guys.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that way here. Once you get to a certain level, they want you to back off hanging out with guys because you lose their respect and stuff like that, or you get too close to them. I don't fully agree with that. I think if you continue to spend time with your crew, maybe not with all of the goofy stuff that used to happen, but spend time with them, eat with them, talk with them, sit with them, watch TV with them, whatever.
Absolutely.
Then it strengthens your whole crew together, and I think that helps with respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's certainly a very fine line that you have to withhold. That you have to just essentially keep throughout your officer career. I think that obviously, like we've said before, you can't do the same level of messing around, joking and stuff that you were able to do as a sergeant. But I strongly disagree with the notion that you have to separate yourself from the crew. And I do not connect with the leadership style of just sitting in the office all day while your crew does everything else by themselves.
Yeah.
One of my biggest things is training.
Yeah.
So one of my biggest things with us training is that I try my absolute best to always participate in training with the guys. There's sometimes that I get pulled away whether I have to have a meeting with the battalion chief, whether I have to do some sort of admin stuff on the computer, whether I have to do anything else. I hate that, but obviously those things have to be done if you're an officer. But just going downstairs and training with the guys, even simple stuff. Like I think next shift that, me and my firemen were planning on doing a massive spaghetti drill in the bay.
Yeah.
As an officer, I'll be honest with you, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
But I think it means a lot to the guys, and it means a lot to me too, to go down there, gear up, just start training with them.
Yep.
I mean, I can stay up a little later that night and do my paperwork if I have to.
That's right. Don't ask people to do something you're not willing to go do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Because that's one of the easiest ways to lose respect from your crew.
Yeah.
But going back to the friend thing, as far as that fine line, I think that when you get promoted on the same crew and you have developed this rapport of being like joking around and, just messing around all the time, I think that once you make that transition, the easiest way to get out of that loop is to just have conversations with the guys.
Yeah.
Develop that expectation, because, if you get with them the first shift that you're promoted, they're like, wait a second, this guy's going to be, he's just going to be like a micromanager now. He's going to want, all this stuff. But if you sit down with them and like, hey guys, nothing's going to change. You guys know this officer position is going to have things a little bit different. However, you have any questions, you have any expectations, you have anything you want to talk about, I'm still willing to talk about anything with you. Now, I might not be messing around. I might not be wrestling on the recliners or, just sitting there playing Call of Duty or whatever. I might not be doing that as much. However, I'm still the same person. I'm not going to let this change. I've just got more influence to look out for you now.
That's right.
Like, I have more, I don't want to say power because that's kind of it sounds bad, but I have more power in order to get you into classes, get you in front of the, whoever you want to meet with to actually talk about your career. I've got a lot more of that. So obviously we have to maintain, a little bit more professionalism between each other. Now we can still joke around. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yeah, we can joke around and stuff, but long as you just put that line in between and you tell them the expectation, like, hey, I'm no longer just a, guy that's just going to mess around all the time. I've got all these extra responsibilities and duties now. So we're going to have to treat each other with respect and understand what each other's roles are now.
Yep. That makes perfect sense. So let's talk about, we mentioned confidence earlier.
Yeah.
And how important it is to be confident, but at a minimum be perceived as confident. We talked about that, and we mentioned this in interviews in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a fine line there of walking into an interview confident and walking into an interview arrogant.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to walk in there with some presence and with some confidence, or they're not going to take you serious. With that being said, let's talk about confidence versus liability.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the other side of that. So when does confidence become dangerous?
Confidence becomes dangerous whenever an officer loses that ability to look inwards of themselves and know that they don't know every single outcome.
Yeah.
They don't know everything. No officer in the entire universe knows every single outcome of everything and knows exactly what to do for every single situation.
Yep.
And that's where that humility component comes back in. You have to be humble enough to understand that, trust me, I'm extremely confident when it comes to structural firefighting, things of that nature. I feel very good about my abilities to run a scene if I had to do operational stuff. However, I know that there's a million different outcomes in which I don't know what I would do, and I don't know what to do. Yeah. Now I'm hopeful that in the moment I'm able to figure it out, just from experience and from training. But I know that for a fact that there are guys that are going to think differently than me, and they may give me a better outcome, better answer. Yeah. And I have no issue with asking it. And I think that's what the true definition of being a confident officer is, I feel extremely comfortable in these situations. I feel like I can do the best for my guys. I know exactly what to do on scene. But if I don't, which we all have that, whether we want to admit it or not, we all have that moment where you're like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. But asking for help. And I know I keep beating that same theme throughout this, but I think it's extremely, extremely important for these guys to just understand that they don't know everything. Yeah. I'm not saying anybody, nobody specifically, but it's just, you don't you can't know everything.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
That's right. We've talked about before, if we roll up to a structure fire and we get out and you see something that's an issue, tell me. Because I've got so much stuff going on. I'm coming off the truck and I'm doing a 360 and I'm doing all of this stuff.
Absolutely.
And if you see something that is an obvious problem, tell me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not so big that I'm going to say, shut up, I don't want to hear what you got to say.
I've told my guys the same thing.
Yeah.
I've told them the exact same thing. Like, hey, even if we're on something simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you see, we go to a public assist and we're just doing a lift assist for some older or some geriatric patient. Like, tell me if you see something, because I can't see it all.
Yeah, that's right. 100%. So we've talked about real leaders. We talked about having nothing really to do with rank.
Mm-hmm.
It's more your confidence and your personality and your motivation.
Yeah.
So what do you think separates real leaders from rank? Because we did talk about earlier also that sometimes people get promoted to positions and they shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And they try their best to be a good leader.
Yeah.
And do everything wrong.
Yeah.
We've seen that, but what's the difference in real leaders and people who just wear rank?
I really think that at a subconscious level, and there's no way you'd be able to prove this, but at a subconscious level, I think it's just what your motives are, your motivation. I mean, your motives to get promoted to an officer, it shouldn't be just time. It shouldn't be just the rank, obviously. It needs to be trying to make a positive difference. And I know that may sound corny, but I think that you asked about the true leader versus the rank. I think that honestly, one of the biggest components of being a true leader is coming in with a consistently positive, forward-thinking outlook. So if, as a fireman, I always tried to come in positive. As a sergeant, I always tried to come in positive. I may be having a terrible day, but I tried my absolute best to maintain a level of consistency and positivity, because we've all had that officer that comes in and just hates life.
Yeah.
They hate life. They don't want to talk to anybody. They just don't. They want to go sit in their office, blah, blah, blah. And that's just a terrible, terrible motivation killer for your new guys, and especially new guys. But it's a motivation killer for everybody. I mean, that's why when I come in, I immediately, hey, morning guys, what's up? I try to start joking around. I try to start, it just lifts the spirits of everybody.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Right off the rip gets them in a progressive attitude to where, hey, we're going to do some training. We're going to kill it today. We're going to have fun today. We're going to get our stuff done. We're going to be the best crew in the whole city. That's what I try to instill in my guys. Yep. Like, that's what I tell them. I want them. That's my motivation. No matter what shift I'm on, no matter what crew I'm on, I want that crew to be the best one in the city. Yep. And that's why I push training so much, because not only is it good for your skills, obviously, dialing them in, but it's a cohesion thing. Yeah. You work together and you know exactly what everybody's going to do. And it just builds that camaraderie to where, I mean, it's almost like you're hanging out doing a workout, but you're really perfecting your skills. Yeah. I mean, for instance, yesterday was Saturday and we came in and me and one of my motivated firemen was like, what are we going to do today? I was like, dude, let's just go out and throw ladders, you know? So we went out there and we just did like a round robin of just throwing the 24 and extending it fully. I think we did like 10 times a piece. Yeah. And we just hanging out, talking, joking. And then after that, we, keep perfecting that skill. Then we try to start doing new things. Yeah. And that's where that humility component comes back into play is, I've got an extremely motivated fireman on my crew that takes all these external classes. He does all this stuff. I'm very proud of him. I mean, he's absolutely killing it. And he always brings something new to the table as far as a technique, an operational, thought process. And I always hear him out. I don't ever shut him down. Even if I disagree with it, or if it's something that I particularly can't do because of my physical limitations or because my whatever, I always embrace it, because you never know who's going to be hearing him. Yeah. And that might be perfect for him, for the person listening. I mean, we've got a brand new rookie, and that's one of the first things I told him was, we'll go out there and train, and You know what I'm saying? There's not a definite right way to do any of these skills.
Yeah.
It's what's most efficient, what takes the least amount of effort to maintain that efficiency, and what gets the goal done.
Yep.
I mean, that's the number one.
Yep, that is exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
We all do things a little different.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about, searching. I think everybody has, there's the normal standard techniques, but everybody has to figure out what works best for them.
Absolutely.
And the way that I search is different than the way that you search, but same outcome.
Yeah.
Still a positive outcome with a positive experience, but we all do it a little bit different.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out what works for you. And the only way you're going to figure that out is to do it.
Yeah. And don't shut down ideas.
Yeah.
Do not shut down ideas. I've seen it so many times, especially at my previous department, where you get these old, salty dudes.
Yep.
I mean, these guys been in there 30 years, but they'll shut down a new idea because it's not what they were taught or not what they've learned, such and such. But that's one of my biggest things that I learned through that experience is these brand new guys coming out of rookie school might teach me something.
Yeah.
And I have, no issue in hearing them out or even trying it with them. Now, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and we'll make fun of them.
Yeah. That's true.
But we're still going to try it, and we're still going to see, how well it works. I mean, heck, it may be the new way of the service.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
That's true. That is very true. All right, so let's shift gears one more time and get a little more, maybe some more controversial topics.
Oh, nice.
So everything that you just talked about, and we did a episode on the first 10 minutes, how important it is to come in motivated and come in with your spirit high.
Absolutely.
And how that bleeds off to everybody else. Because like you said, we've all seen the ones who come in and there's like somebody kicked their dog. Like they just, I don't know. And it bleeds over to the whole crew.
Yeah.
And it that first 10 minutes sets the tone for the whole shift.
It really does. It really does.
So as important as that is and taking all of that into mind, let's talk about morale. It is so easy to hurt morale.
Yeah.
Or to lose morale or lose the support of the guys or whatever the case may be. What do you think the fire service needs right now from a morale standpoint? Because we have heard different things, and we are truly blessed here.
Yeah,
with
we absolutely are.
Great facilities.
Yes,
and new trucks, the best of the best, and new equipment. We're always getting new equipment, and we're hiring, and we're doing all these things, and that is awesome. Like there is so many departments 20 minutes from here that don't experience that.
Yep.
But how big a role does that play in overall morale? I think it's so much deeper than that.
It's certainly, it's tough. It's tough because there's a multitude of answers that you could have for that, because obviously everybody's motivation is going to be different, or everybody's, perception of the morale is going to be different. But I will say that I think that a big thing that affects morale that we almost have to take an inward look at is perception.
Yeah.
I think a lot of our guys, and I shouldn't say our guys, but a lot of firefighters in general in the service, no matter what department they work for, I think that they tend to look through just a 3-inch window.
Yeah.
Like I think, and I've done that before. I've certainly done that before. But I think, and this is, where you go back to the promotional part of it, once you get more rank and you start to get up, you start to get exposed to more of the behind the scenes things that go on. And I think a lot of our guys, they don't see what's happening behind the doors downstairs.
Yes.
And I think that what they'll do is they'll either hear a little something or they'll hear a rumor or some gossip or something like that. And they'll either just run with it and just not question it, or they'll evolve it and they'll just make their own version of
That's
it.
Right. That's right.
But I think if they were able to take a step back and, actually be able to see the forest through the trees, I think that they would understand that these things that they perceive as negatively affecting morale, either aren't true, or they just don't understand it.
Yeah.
And I think that because, there's always every single department in the country, there's always going to be like well, my chief ain't doing enough. He's not doing enough, blah, 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 blah. Well, I can tell you, a few shifts ago, we're fortunate enough to have a very open-minded, very open door policy fire chief. And I went in there and talked to him about something not related to this, but, he sat down and actually took me through, how he's doing the budget for the department, what he's going to city council with, what all these things are. I was extremely fortunate because he's trying to give me a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Because I think he kind of sees what my motivations are, what I want to do in the future. And he's just asking for the moon for us.
Yeah.
He really is. He's going out on a limb, but as well as I do, there's only so much that they can do.
Yeah.
We rely on so many external entities that control the direction of the department.
Yeah, that's true.
But, that's a long way to go around to the morale thing. And what happens is people start to see, they're like, oh, well, why didn't we get like a 40% raise or something like that? And it just, they tend to think that way. But I think that perception concept is in dire need with some groups.
Yeah.
You have to look outside yourself. You have to look outside of the room that you're in.
Yeah.
You can't just think that, hey, what I'm seeing directly in front of me that's exactly what's going on. You have to think that, these guys probably are trying to do the best for us as they can.
Yeah. But they can only do so much.
Yeah. They can only do so much. And now a different answer that maybe talking about the controversy thing, a different answer is fighting fire.
Yeah.
That's the biggest, obviously I don't want anybody in the world to lose their possessions or definitely not lose a family member. I would never wish that on my worst enemy. However, controversially fighting fire, that is such a morale booster.
Yeah, it is.
If we fought fire every 2 weeks, we had like a ripping structure fire. These guys would, oh my God, the cohesion, the motivation to train. It would skyrocket. But again, obviously you can't put that in motion. We're just, reactionary to that, obviously. And we don't want anybody to lose their possessions or anything like that, or lose their family or anything.
But if something happens,
we want to be there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. We, and I've mentioned it before, we don't fight a ton of fire.
Yeah.
About 9 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, we went through this little stint where I was on A shift at the time, and I think we had 6 shifts in a row. We had a working structure fire.
Oh yeah.
Now there was some stuff going on that caused that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even being here as long as I have now, when a structure fire bangs out, your heart rate still goes up. You still get excited.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we're here for. And in those 6 shifts, the exposure was so much that it changed that. Like my heart rate would still go up, but you didn't lose yourself to adrenaline.
Yeah.
Like you could get on scene and you just did your job.
Yeah.
And it was like it's just another day.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I remember that feeling because we went through a stint earlier this year, late last year, where I think we had 4 shifts in a row.
Yeah.
But it was such a good feeling to just show up, do your job, knew what had to be done.
Yeah.
No issues. And you were calm the whole time.
Yeah.
And that comes with exposure. Exposure is what is the basis of everything. And then that leads to experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's just something I remember from years ago. Cause like I said, we don't run a ton.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of structure fires in a short amount of time. And it was awesome. Like I'll never forget that little stint.
It is so weird. Like my previous department that I worked at before I came here, obviously, it's much bigger, much busier, all that kind of stuff. But we fought like a very, very good amount of fire down there.
Yeah.
And it does. It's almost like it turns into like a I'm coming in and doing this PCR on a patient.
Yeah.
I mean, it just becomes a regular thing. And honestly, I mean, that's the best training you're going to get too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, you come back and, obviously there's I'm kind of building it up like I'm excited about it because I am. I love to fight structure fires. I love it. But at the same time, you have to balance that with the loss that is associated with that.
That's right.
And, it as sad as it is that someone lost something, we have also developed a better response ability.
Yeah.
So I think that we've developed by fighting that fire. We've gotten better at it. We've learned things. We've, just come together as a crew to fight this terrible thing that's happening. And I think it's almost psychological. It's a trauma bond too, at some level, because it's associated with an extreme sadness for someone else, but also we're all on the same page as far as the adrenaline rush. Yeah. And I think we're bonded by that. And I think it makes us come closer together, to be honest.
Yeah, I believe that too. I was thinking while you were talking, maybe a little different direction, but it's something I thought about.
Yeah.
When we're on scene of a fatality fire, or a medical call and somebody's deceased, or a car wreck, or whatever the case is, everybody looks at us and thinks, "Man, they're cold.
Yeah,
they have no feelings whatsoever." Mm-hmm. And that is the furthest thing from the truth, because we had a structure fire a few months ago with a fatality, and it was terrible. Mm-hmm. And then the family got there, and it just emotionally it got worse. A lot of that is we look stoic and we look like we're emotionless. That is us in a way that is us being respectful. Yeah. Because we've talked about the dark humor before. Mm-hmm. And it is so second nature and easy for that to kick in. Yeah. But we try our best to do that when we get back to the station. Yeah. And it would be easy to address that trauma on a call and the timing not be right. Yeah. So a lot of times we just look like we're just cold and we're standing over there and it is what it is another day, but we're feeling it on the inside. Yeah. That call when the family showed up, I'll never forget how, the reaction of the family and everything. And I thought about, I know it's kind of not on topic, but I kind of thought about that while you were talking.
Well, I think that ties directly into the officer thing. Yeah. I mean, you have to have the perception of strength. I mean, even to the public, we are perceived as the strong, come in, save the day people. Yeah. I mean, as corny as that is, we have to maintain a level of stoicism. I think that that's a perfect way to put that. I mean, because the last thing I want is if I call 911 and I see a bunch of people pulling up that are just, freaking out or just panicking. They don't, that kind of thing. And I think the holding your personal emotions back is just as important too. Yeah. Because I think that it shows a level of strength. Now, obviously, like you said, with the dark humor, obviously that's the worst case scenarios. If you get on scene and you're laughing about some dumb joke somebody made when someone's poor, grandmother has passed away. But, there's a time and a place for that. Yeah. And I think that that's a misconception with the public as well, as they don't really understand that. Yeah. But you see it so much. That's the way we rationalize it.
That's right.
I mean, that's the only way you can rationalize it, because I mean, if you don't joke about it and if you don't try to point out tiny little details about funny, whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, we'll go insane. I mean, we'll sit there and be depressed thinking about that reoccurring. And you and I both have had experiences that it just sits in your mind for years, and it beats you down. But if you're able to talk about it, and as alphas, typically most of us are going to be like alpha personalities, that's the best way to talk about it. Yeah. Instead of me coming in here and just, crying about it and stuff like that, it's much, much more comfortable and socially acceptable in our culture to just laugh, talk, but you still get the information out and you still get that off your chest.
Yep.
So it's a different way of expression that we have come in a culture to normalize.
Yeah, that's right.
But of course, the public, that those are conversations that probably don't need to be mic'd up though.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's weird too, because sometimes we end up on scene for an hour.
Yeah.
And we stay over to ourselves, and it may be a conversation that is absolutely not related to the call at all.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody says something funny and we chuckle, and somebody, the family or whatever, sees that and perceives that as, well, they're making fun of us, or they're, and in reality, it had nothing to do with
it never
the situation.
Does.
Yeah. So we have to be careful about that type of stuff.
Yeah. And I hate that. I try, your instinct when you get a great knockdown on a fire, you're amped up, your adrenaline's just flowing. You guys are like just killing it on scene. Yeah. Your instinct is to come out, high five, be like, yeah, man, look, we did it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then you have, and again, going back to the officer thing, that's going to be my instinct as well. But from years of service, I've learned that we can do this when we get back to the station.
Yeah.
I mean, because you never know. There may be a ring camera across the street that's seeing a bunch of firemen high-fiving, laughing, chest bumping, whatever. And someone just lost their lives in that.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with that. We still feel sadness for that, obviously. Yeah. We still feel a great deal of remorse for that family. And I always do. But in the moment, your adrenaline's so high, you're not really thinking about that kind of stuff. So as an officer and as a good leader, you have to ensure that your guys maintain that level of professionalism.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's change directions one more time. That got kind of dark. Let's pick it up just a little bit. So for somebody who is wanting to promote, what, and it doesn't really matter the time frame. It may be a year from now or 2 or 5 or whatever. But for somebody who is wanting to promote, what should they start doing right now?
Obviously, so there's the obvious and then there's the more unobvious. So the obvious component of it is to just really dial in your career path. I mean, just be super, super aggressive with taking these classes. I mean, it's laid out for you.
Yeah.
I mean, our department is very organized to where they lay out what you need to do.
That's right.
I mean, that's the number one thing, obviously, hit those. The more unobvious component of it, and I think that, again, this is a little bit controversial, but you cannot listen to the naysayers.
That's right.
That is one of the biggest things that it's so easy to fall into that pit of people. I've heard it so many times. You don't have enough time to promote.
Yeah.
You don't have enough experience to promote. You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. You have to stop listening to that.
That's right.
Because those are people that don't have the humility to understand that, or they're either jealous, they're either uncomfortable with their own abilities, they're either, whatever it is. And I'm not bashing those people at all, because you never know what people are going in. You never know what they're going through.
Yeah.
They may be going through some family issues, blah, blah, blah. And so you can't judge those people for that. However, on a personal side of that, you have to just you have to tune it out.
Yeah.
Because there's always going to be people that question your ability. They're going to question something you did and it's going to stick with you, blah, blah, blah. But in your heart, if you know that you're motivated to make things better, that should carry you through any of that stuff.
That's right.
And that's what's always carried me through it, because people, of course people have told me the not enough time here thing. I've heard that a million different ways. However, I've worked my absolute butt off for the last 4 years going and doing all these things. And I truly want to make this department awesome.
Yeah.
And I think all officers should have that mentality.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to make things better for the guys. I want to make them better. I want to make them successful. I mean, one of the biggest things, and my chief, one of my chiefs told me this previously as well, is something that motivates me a ton is if one of my firemen gets promoted to lieutenant or officer. I mean, that pumps me up. That's almost more exciting for me than me getting promoted.
Yeah.
Because I love to see that success that that person and I helped him a little bit, you know, may have guided him, but he's done so well. He's gone through all this stuff. You know, they've just done all the right things. They've kept their nose clean. They've done all this stuff. And it's a very prideful thing for me. I mean, you're a father
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's almost like a father figure kind of thing. That's one of the happiest, most proudest moments is when I see my guys succeed. It's especially when I see them motivated. I mean, I try to feed into that as much as I can. If they come in super motivated and super hyped up, I try to just throw gas on that fire.
Yeah.
Because I mean, everybody needs a cheerleader. I mean, and I've been fortunate enough to have you as an officer. I've had other people as officers that have really, you know, just essentially helped me when I needed it, you know, facilitated any sort of extracurricular thing that I can do to make myself better. And I've been very fortunate, and I really want all officers should be that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Motivation is not constant.
Yeah.
Sometimes it comes in these waves.
Oh yeah.
And when it's on the up and they're really motivated, we want to keep that going.
Yep.
And do what we can to help them. So absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I didn't throw this in earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who don't know, Lieutenant Sambor is a Guinness Book of World Records holder. And I'm actually going to tie this in.
Okay.
Give me just a second.
Okay.
So he was supposed to be on episode 2. And he holds the world record for diverting this more than anybody else. So now it is episode 15, and he's finally made it on. So yeah, there's that. It's kind of a big deal. I mean,
Currently, on a personal note, I'm currently moving and I've got 2 small children.
Yep.
I'm attempting to get my master's degree right now. I've got about 3 weeks left into that, and also simultaneously trying to do as much of the career path as I can.
yeah.
So I've been a little busy. But I appreciate that a lot. I do appreciate you know, me coming to mind when you wanted people on here, though.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yep. And none of that is valid excuses. I don't. I'm just kidding, man. It's we've said it a lot. Family first.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the job. I love this, but I spent so many years devoting way too much time here, and not with my kids who are now getting married and moving out. And I think about, man, I've lost so much time. You know,
Absolutely, and that's a whole nother component of the job.
Yeah.
I mean, just especially the kids thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely impacts you much more when you have your own children.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So let's change gears one more time. So let's divert totally away from everything we've talked about today.
Gotcha.
This is just personal, nothing related to anything we've talked about. So what artist or group or band are you into right now? I know you're all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, my one constant, there's not a particular band, to be honest with you. My one constant probably is metal, like hard rock. You know, we've got a couple of guys that listen to the screaming stuff. Ever since high school, I've been into that. You know, I think you and I are roughly the same age. And back when I was in high school, like some of the popular bands like Korn and Slipknot and all that stuff, you know, I was into that stuff when I was in high school. And it kind of just carried throughout. But I mean, I'll listen to anything. I mean, I've got my playlist for every single emotion that I'm feeling that day.
I got you. Okay. Good deal. All right. So other than this fantastic podcast, what other podcast are you into?
I love a good conspiracy podcast.
I know you do.
I love them. You know, we were just talking about that yesterday. I know we're talking about podcasts, but movie wise, I told one of my firemen yesterday, I was like, you know, I can't even remember the last movie I watched that wasn't a documentary.
Yeah.
I just get so enveloped in those things, especially like, you know, some of the alien conspiracy stuff, some of that stuff. I love that stuff because it's just, I don't know. I think it just kind of broadens your horizon a little bit. It makes you think outside the box on some things. But just, oh God, I don't know. When I'm driving around, I rarely listen to music anymore. I mean, I've got about 30 podcasts in my queue that are always coming with new episodes.
I watch a lot of documentaries too, but my niche is small.
Yeah.
Like I got into, it drives Mindy insane. The chemtrail stuff.
Oh yeah.
Got into that.
Now
Now
those some good rabbit holes you can go down.
Oh man! And now every time I look up and the chemtrails are crossing in the sky, I'm thinking, they're crop dusting us today.
Yep, absolutely.
You know,
God, so many good rabbit holes you can go down with these podcasts.
So, yep, and I'll do it in the car, and she'll say, "Man, you just."
I need to search.
Stop?
I need to look up, see if there's like a firefighter conspiracy podcast.
Surely
or a YouTube channel.
Surely there's something. Yeah. All right. Anything else on your mind? Anything you want to talk about?
No, the only thing that I kind of want to talk about is just how do we say this? I don't want to get dark or anything or sad or anything like that, but something that I have, especially in my adult life, especially having children, is, we run a lot of gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just really, really bad stuff that you just never want to see. I mean, it's worse than any horror movie that you can watch.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing when I first started in the service, I was in my early 20s, and I had a bunch of, like I said before, I had a bunch of salty old dudes that just, you never saw them have emotions unless it was anger or happiness.
Yeah.
You never saw them sad or anything. So when I was first coming up, I really safeguarded my emotions.
Yeah.
And really it wasn't until I had my first kid, I've got a beautiful 5-year-old daughter now. And when she was first born, it's like something clicked in my head, and it was just a level of openness and a level of humility that I had never had in my life. And I know you're a father of daughters as well. And something about that, man, just really made me swallow my pride and open my mind, because I think that a lot of us, especially these young guys, no kids, super aggressive, fire under their butt, they just think that none of this is ever going to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And I thought that too. I was full of it. I mean, just hard nosed. Like I thought I was the toughest dude in the room when I was 26 years old.
Yep.
But the more stuff you run, the more stuff starts to just build up and build up and build up. And anytime I talk to these new guys, and I know you're familiar, you probably already know where I'm going with this, but, I tell these new guys all the time, man, don't be scared or don't be intimidated or embarrassed to ask for some emotional support, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I happily admit that I've been seeing a counselor or therapist, for almost 2 years now, just to explore different things. And you have to talk that stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, the dark humor and stuff goes so far.
Yep.
But when you run, just some of the sickest stuff that you'll ever see, it's just, man, you got to get it off your chest. And I mean, the cause that, and I don't want to get, crazy specific, but I mean, last year or a year and a half, and I try to talk about this a lot, especially with new people, because not only is it cathartic for me, but it also helps. I think it opens the mind of newer people a little bit too, because they understand even a 12-year person that's been in the service for a while, that's, had countless fires, done countless things, they think we're like invincible emotionally. And that's so far from the truth.
It sure is. Absolutely.
But I mean, even, last year, I think, or a year and a half ago at this point, I ran a murder-suicide of a mother and a daughter.
Yeah.
And that call was the roughest call I've ever had in my entire career. Sticks with me all the time. The little girl was 4 years old. My oldest daughter was 4 years old at the time. They even kind of looked similar. I mean, it just crushed me. And, obviously the initial reaction to that is to go home, and I know that we're family friendly, but, go home, hit the bottle, whatever, numb your feelings, that kind of thing. And man, it's just, that it doesn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the moment it happened, when I left that call, I had to go see the chief of the department I was working for. And, of course, the chaplain was there and they were trying to help. But immediately when I left that scene, I called you.
Yeah.
Because, Derek is one of our peer support guys here at our department. And I called you and, just kind of told you that. I mean, it was my instant reaction to it. So, of course, my thoughts were all jumbled up and, I had, I was just going a mile a minute in my brain. But I called you and, you helped me out and you talked to me about it. And, after that, it kept wearing on me. I mean, I kept thinking about it. I mean, I don't know how many people I've told, but, I actually looked at her obituary and found where she was put to rest.
Yeah.
And I went down there and, I paid my respects to her by myself. I went down there and paid my respects. And, of course, as tough as we want to seem, I was tearing up like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the saddest thing in the world. And, but the whole point of it is, man, after that, I started seeing a therapist that helped me a tremendous amount. I started opening up about it with some of the guys that, are more emotionally equipped to, talk about those things. Yeah. And that's like one of my biggest PSAs with these new guys is just, man, don't be scared to talk about that kind of stuff, dude. I tell my guys all the time, we run something horrible like that, we'll sit in my office and talk about it for hours if you want to.
Yep.
I mean, I'll tell you stories. I can just sit and listen. I mean, I can, whatever you need.
Yeah.
I mean, I can try to go back and forth with you, anything. It's just it's a very, very frowned upon thing that sometimes we're extremely vulnerable.
Yeah. You're right.
I hate that stigma. I hate that stigma because full circle, that goes into the humility thing.
It does.
Yeah. I mean, we're not perfect. We're not the strongest people on this planet.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing a deceased kid is going to affect anybody with a heart. I mean,
it should. Yeah.
Yeah, it should.
Which I told you about all my stuff late last year and early this year. And it took a toll on me. And building off of other things that I had run in the past that, triggers are real.
Yeah.
Some triggers we think that's dumb.
Yeah.
But they're real. And lots of times when things build up and it starts causing you an issue, it also leads back to things that happened a long time ago. But like Sambor said, I am part of our peer support team. Mm-hmm. And it was hard for me to go to the peer support team and sit down in a meeting and say, all right, look, I know this is what we do.
Yeah.
But I'm dealing with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was hard because we're supposed to be this level of, bring it on.
Yeah.
I can take whatever you need to put on me to help you. I'll take it. And then we get to the point where what are we supposed to do with our stuff?
Yep.
So yeah, it's hard. And, as I mentioned it in other episodes, the whole peer support and emotional health and all that stuff's still pretty new in the grand scheme of things. Yeah. Last 5 years.
Well, I think that you gain more respect by having the humility to understand that you can't deal with that emotionally.
Yeah.
We're not talking about operational performance on a fire scene.
No.
That's a completely different aspect of it. We're talking about when I go home and my kids go to sleep at night and I'm sitting there awake thinking about something terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing I think that if you came to me and told me something like you needed help or you needed to talk something out, I would have a tremendous amount of more respect for you than if I saw somebody just holding it in and taking it out on everybody. Because, I mean, you and I have both seen that with a bunch of people. These guys, they think they're the toughest dude in the room and they can't talk about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, man, it's just it's disappointing because I know they'd be stronger afterward. Yeah. But absolutely. It's just a culture that we've built over the, 100 years or whatever. I mean, it's just, we're the tough dudes, but
that's right.
You gotta, there's a time and place for everything.
You're absolutely right, man. That's good stuff. I'm glad you kind of close that out with that, and with your story, because I remember all that happening. And, if that don't affect you, you got some problems. Yeah.
That's a different conversation.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we're all just still human. Mm-hmm. People think we come in and we're these robots, but we got families and things affect us too.
Absolutely. And once you have a family, I mean, there's nothing that I would not work on myself for them.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's going to make me a better father and a better husband, I will gladly go see a therapist for whatever and talk about anything.
Absolutely.
And that goes for our guys too. I know you're the same way.
Yeah.
My guys have any issues like that, gladly have them come in and talk through everything.
100%. Well, good deal. So I mentioned to you that this is episode 15, season finale. This season, we've talked about mental health. We've talked about training and culture and leadership and covered a lot of awesome topics. And I want to leave a question for everybody that's listening, and it's in relation to promoting.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that a lot today. So if you promote and you aren't ready, what happens? That is just a general question for whoever's listening to think about. And I think that will shape how you prepare for promotion. So if you're wanting to promote, if you promote and you're not ready, what happens then? So keep that in mind. Think over that question and know how you're going to proceed through that. So season 1 of Wind the Q has been about understanding the job. Our whole purpose when we started this was not to just be another fire service podcast, but to look at the real side of the fire service. Like I said, we're not robots. We have emotions. Things affect us, whether it's mental health. And we talk about training and leadership and culture. We just want to look at that real side of it, how it affects us, how it affects our families, our departments, the fire service in general, and perceptions by the public. So we've covered a lot of that this season. We've got awesome stuff coming up for season 2. So this will be episode 15. So week 16, we won't be releasing a new episode. We're going to take that time to kind of reset, get some new ideas going, spend some time with our family because this gets consuming. So we'll take a week off. I will do some uploads of some other stuff, but won't be a new episode for 16. So like I said, this is the finale, and it's about understanding the job, what it takes to get here, what it feels like, and ultimately what it costs to stay here. There is a cost with it, and I do want everybody to understand that, especially if you're thinking about getting in the fire service. There's a cost and there's sacrifice. But every one of those comes back to leadership. But the truth is, through this whole season, we've only scratched the surface of what we're trying to do here. So season 2, we're going to dig deeper. We'll be talking about things people don't usually say out loud. We'll talk about real stories, real struggles, and the side of this job that you don't see. So if you think you understand the fire service now, just wait. You don't understand it yet. So thank you for listening to Wind the Q, the stories behind the sirens. Stay safe. Take care of your crew. Take care of your family.
Boots hit the floor, jump in our gear. Mask, gloves, door, screaming down the street.
Before we wrap up, if you've gotten value out of this podcast, if it's something that you listen to, that you share, and that you believe in, then there's a way to support it directly. We've set up a monthly support option through Buzzsprout, and that link is in the description. Everything that goes into this, the time, the equipment, the production, it all adds up, and that support helps us keep this thing moving forward and growing. If that's something that you want to be a part of, we appreciate it. And if not, just keep listening, sharing it, send it to your crew. That matters just as much, but we appreciate all of it.